We're gonna pop these into the oven for 40 minutes at 350. If weight loss is your ultimate goal, but you are not seeing the changes that you want, chances are it's not your workouts we need to adjust, it's going to be your food. In this video, I'm gonna walk you through the 3 major changes that I made to lose 70 pounds in 6 months without tracking, and now help women all over the world over 40 do the exact same thing. Let's get into it. So the first thing that I did was when I was gonna make a meal, whether it was meal prep or fresh meal, I decided what protein source I was going to have in that meal. I mean, high protein source, so not just like peanut butter or something like that. I made sure to build my meals around a high protein source. And I'll show you about high protein in a second. Now, protein is the one macronutrient that your body will pretty much always find a use for, whether it is your nails, your skin, your hair, antibodies. It costs your body something to actually digest protein. So it causes your body to burn calories when you actually eat protein. That's why it's a great thing to always make sure that you are creating in your meals. And when you're losing weight, you're not just losing fat, you're losing muscle too. So when you're eating protein, it's going to do a better job at preserving some of your muscle mass, which is what you want to keep your weight off long term. Okay, so this is the test that I use to determine whether I should categorize an item as a high protein source. All right, let's start with peanut butter, which I'm sure you've heard was a good source of protein. So I'm gonna cover up the last digit of the calories, okay? So I've got the number 18. Now I'm going to compare 18 to the number of protein, which the number of protein on here is 9. So again, I'm comparing 18 to 9. If the protein is higher than the calories, then it is a high protein item. If it's not, I don't consider it a high protein item. So 18 is not higher than 9, so I do not consider peanut butter a high protein item. It has protein in it, and it may contribute to my overall protein in the meal, but I don't build my meal around this. This is a Too Good Greek yogurt, same thing. Turn it over to the back. I'm gonna cover up the last digit of the calories, and I've got 8, okay? So that would be 8. Comparing that 8 to the number of protein, which is 12. 12 is bigger than 8, so yes, I would consider this something I can actually build my meal around. It is a high protein source for me. I've got these Italian chicken sausages from Trader Joe's. Same thing, I'm going to cover up that last digit, which is the 0. Now I've got 11, and I'm comparing that to 17. 17 is bigger than 11. So this is a high protein source for me, and I can build my meal around this. As a good kind of guideline, if weight loss is your goal, you want to aim for about 25 to 40 grams of protein in each of the meals. Okay, so now we are going to make my high protein breakfast bake. This is one of my go-to meal prepped breakfasts that I still eat today. Loaded with protein, it tastes so good even when you are reheating it. We're gonna start by air frying these chicken breakfast sausage from Trader Joe's at 400 degrees for 5 minutes on each side. Adding in our mushrooms. Now you want to make sure that you thoroughly spray down your meal prep containers with your avocado cooking spray, because if you don't, these are gonna stick so bad and it just really ruins the whole experience. So make sure to spray these bad boys back down. And I will say this is 0 calories per spray, so spray away, baby, spray away. We're just going to pour that right in there. So we're doing 3 eggs and 2 tablespoons of cottage cheese. The cottage cheese is gonna add an additional 3.5 grams of protein to each. And of course, we're using 3 eggs. Our eggs are each 6 grams of protein. So the eggs and the cottage cheese alone have got 21.5 grams of protein, which is getting us close to that 25 to 40 grams of protein for each meal. Now we're gonna add in a half a cup of our veggies. I'm gonna add in some green onion. So now we're gonna add 2 to 2.5 chicken sausage to each of these. Now we're just gonna make sure that this is all nice and combined in there. So those chicken sausages bumped up our protein a little bit. 2 links have an additional 11 grams of protein. And now we're just going to add on some mozzarella cheese, some light mozzarella cheese onto the top of each of these bad boys. You're gonna end up using about a slice and a half, but this is gonna bump up your protein by an additional 7 to 10 grams in each. We're gonna pop these into the oven for 40 minutes at 350. Now we are gonna add a little bit of plain Greek yogurt onto this. If you did not know, it tastes just like sour cream, but it's also gonna add a little bit more protein into that breakfast. And of course, you've gotta have some Frank's Red Hots. This is the breakfast of champions. You're gonna be full for hours and so satisfied. Look at that. Now, the second thing that I did was I started measuring my fats. What do I mean by that? Well, there are some things that are very, very healthy, like nuts. They're a healthy snack. But if you were to eat 1 cup of nuts, it's like 700 calories. In fact, I got a funny story about that. My mom used to go to bed every single night with a bag of dry roasted, unsalted almonds. And she would snack on them as she was going to sleep. And so over time, she started to gain weight and didn't understand why she was gaining weight. And I told her, it's those almonds. She's like, no, almonds are healthy. It's some almonds. No, it can't be those almonds. I'm only having a couple. Baby, she was eating hundreds of calories of almonds before she went to bed. Even though it's healthy, it is something that can definitely cause weight gain. So when it came to my fats, I always started to look at what is the serving size on the label and make sure that I am not overdoing it with the fats. Now this is 1 cup of mixed nuts. We're looking at 680 calories for this 1 cup. Now, this looks like a lot of nuts, but let's actually see what else could we get for 680 calories. So we could get 5 cans of tuna. We could get a pack and a half of these delicious chicken meatballs from Trader Joe's. But here's the kicker. We could get 8.5 Greek yogurts for the same amount of calories in this 1 cup of mixed nuts. So yes, this is a healthy snack. This is a healthy fat, but you want to be cognizant about how much you're having because there are other options that are going to give you a lot more bang for your caloric buck. And although I don't track or count calories, knowing that fats have double the amount of calories as a gram of carb or protein puts things in perspective. Like legit, if you were to have 1 gram of protein or 1 gram of carbohydrates, you are getting 4 calories. But if you were to have 1 gram of fat, you are getting 9. So how much more food could I eat for that same amount of calories? That's one of the things that's going to change the game when it comes to you actually losing weight. Now, the third thing that I did was reframe how and when I use carbs. Now, I don't consider myself a low carb person. I eat carbs because I understand that carbohydrates are my body's preferred energy source. When you eat carbs, your body breaks them down into glucose or blood sugar. So I know that if I'm gonna be doing a big, hefty workout, I got a busy day, I'm gonna need more carbs and more blood sugar to give me the energy that I need. Conversely, on days that I'm gonna be hanging out at the house, you know, maybe I'm going to church, I'm gonna be watching TV, I don't need as many carbohydrates. So really keeping that in mind when it comes to how and when I'm gonna eat carbs was a game changer for me. So I'm gonna show you how I approach meal prepping in light of knowing there's some days I'm gonna need more energy and more carbohydrates and some days that I am not going to need as many. Half a tablespoon of olive oil, our stir-fry veggies. These are raw, washed and ready to go, which makes it awesome. So this is broccoli, Napa cabbage, pea pods, adding in 1 onion and 1 bag of those little baby carrots. We are using 2 packages of these pineapple teriyaki chicken meatballs from Trader Joe's. So just getting a little bit of color on these. And then we're going to plate everything up. So we're gonna put cauliflower rice in 2 of the meals and regular brown rice in the other 2. Adding in our veggies. And now we've got our meatballs. And then we're just gonna add in our sauce, which we will pour over before we eat. So I would have this one with the brown rice on one of my high carb days, and I would have one of these, one with the cauliflower rice, so I don't need as many carbs. So you don't need to avoid carbs, but kind of think of carbs as gas in the gas tank. Days when you're going to be going on a road trip, we want to fully fuel that gas tank. On days when you are going to be, maybe just doing around the corner, you're going into the grocery store, you don't need as much. Now remember, when you eat carbs, your body breaks them down into glucose or blood sugar. And ideally, you want to keep your blood sugar as stable as possible. So by eating foods that are higher in fiber, the chances of the blood sugar staying stable, baby, you're in good shape, because that fiber is like a buffer that's going to prohibit the blood sugar from spiking up really, really high. I also am looking at the amount of sugar that I'm having. So I'm gonna do my best to have things that are high in fiber, low in sugar, and as close to nature as possible. Now, the last thing I wanna just remind you is you don't gotta be perfect in order to lose weight. In fact, if you are focused on just like eating salads for every single meal and chicken and broccoli and eggs, yes, you're going to lose weight, but the chances of you regaining the weight are very high. I lost 70 pounds in 6 months, but I've kept it off for 17 years because I made sure that what I was actually eating was food that I enjoy. Number one, I start with protein. I'm intentional with my fat. And then I am really kind of always gauging how much carbs I'm going to based on my activity level. Those three things alone have allowed me not just to lose the weight, but to keep it off through holidays, birthdays, vacations, and never really feel miserable. So for long-term weight loss, my best advice is to find ways to make meals that you already love and really enjoy healthier, so that you are never really feeling deprived or waiting for the next time that you can have a cheat meal, but instead you are looking forward to your lunch because it's something that you actually enjoy. If you want more support doing this, click the link in the description box and get more information on my 6-week challenge. We're personally working together for 6 weeks, and I'm going to teach you the sustainable lifestyle changes that help me to, again, not just lose the weight, but keep it off and feel like I'm living my best life and I don't track anything. It is so freeing. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel for kick butt workouts and more videos on how to lose weight without obsessing over every bite. All right, we're gonna let these cool.